everyone, and welcome to SB Advanced Podcasts. I'm your host, GVP.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Hikari.
Alright, so
today we're going to be taking on a new kind of video. You guys haven't seen this in a while. I'm sorry, Godfred, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. You have every right to cut me off.
So, this is a podcast. I'm assuming all of you know what a podcast is just because, you see them everywhere. You go on any internet site, you'll see a podcast. There's multiple on YouTube. So this is our podcast. We're going to be talking about nerdy stuff. And for example, today's topic is card games. We're going to be talking about new card games that came up in the past decade. We're going to be talking about older card games that have been around since, card games have been a thing. Also, we're going to be talking about card games that canceled. Some that we just haven't played.
Why do some of them have to get canceled?
Oh, calm down, Logic. We're also going to be talking about a third point, but we will save that for later just to keep you guys entranced. So, Godfred, go ahead and take first point with new card games.
Alright, so new card games. So the thing about me, little brief thing about me about card games, is that I like trying out new card games. In fact, I recently got into a card game thanks to Jay Hikari here, called Card Fight Vanguard and Future Card Buddy Fight. Now, these card games were created by a company called
Vanguard, not Buddy Fight. You found Buddy Fight on your own, you child.
Oh, whatever. No, you introduced me to Buddy Fight, believe it or not.
I introduced you to Vanguard, which led you to Bushiroad, and then you found Buddy Fight on your own.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so back on topic. Yeah, so Future Card Buddy Fight, Y Schwartz, Luck and Logic, Dragonborn, and another card game.
I love Dragonborn.
So the new card games, I have to say, are pretty fun. So the basis of Vanguard is just basically just attacking your opponent. And it's also the same thing with Buddy Fight. So you basically fight with your monsters. Y Schwartz is pretty unique in that you basically fight with anime characters. And yes, for those of you who like Love Live, there are Love Live cards. And you can fight Gurren Lagann characters with Love Live characters. It's great. And so, the thing about new card games is that it's really hard to keep them going. Like, the jump start's there. It's just that over the course of a month, sometimes they die out. For example, there's this card game called Luck and Logic, and when you heard me moan about Luck and Logic, yeah, that's one of them.
I'm sure a lot of viewers who actually do play card games would have moaned about that if they did play Luck and Logic.
Yeah. Luck and Logic wasn't really well known, honestly. I checked, they had a fan base on Facebook and Twitter, and I checked it out. I was like, oh, cool. There was only 23 people on that Twitter. Yeah. I was just like, well, and the Facebook page had less, and it really disappointed me.
Interrupt you here.
Yes.
I feel like the reason a lot of new card games aren't sticking, or at least getting the popularity that they should be, is because of mobile games. Computer games and stuff like that. Not just because games are so good, but because there are card games apps and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Hearthstone.
Eternal. There's a bunch of them. Eternal is pretty much Magic mixed with Hearthstone. Hearthstone is pretty much the World of Warcraft card game reimagined.
Exactly. And on top of that, there's also tons of other card games coming out that are great, but then there's the competition of getting them recognized, beating the competition, and Luck and Logic was apparently one of the losers in that round of competition.
Public relation, people have to work really hard nowadays, especially.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much. I was actually hanging out at the card shop, right? And my friend actually dissed Bushiroad, and I was sitting there because I'm a Bushiroad fan. After introduced to Vanguard and Buddy Fight and Y Schwartz, I really do like the idea of the ideas that are coming out of Bushiroad. But he said, alright, Bushiroad needs to get their act together. They need to focus on one card game, not a lot. And I was like, you do realize that each card game was made by a different person.
Yeah.
The company can't just, focus in on one card game, come on me. But,
hey, look, some shit.
But thing is that Bushiroad, I really do like Bushiroad because they're not afraid to have new ideas. Because if you look on their website, they have over 5 card games and even more. Because Dragonborn came out and it has one of the people related to Dungeons and Dragons, right?
They played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. They actually helped out a bit with it.
Yeah.
Not to mention, they also made Duel Masters. They helped with the Americanization of Duel Masters and the recreation of Kaijudo.
Kaijudo. Yeah,
We'll talk about those in a second. So,
Yeah, and I was thinking about that after he dissed Bushiroad, and I was like, man, no, that can't be the case. And I actually, believe it or not, I did a little bit of research. And,
oh my god, you did research!
Yeah, but I didn't do it for the past week because, I am a dual major in mechanical and aerospace. Nerd. So, anyway, basically, Luck and Logic didn't have that much because the other card games in Bushiroad already had the audience's attention. Vanguard was the start in 2011, all right? And it already got a big fan base, and then Buddy Fight right after that, which was 2013. It was sometime after Vanguard.
And with such a big, boom for Vanguard, obviously people are going to be interested with what the company can bring.
Yeah, it's like basically people. Card game. Yeah, people basically flock to what's familiar and what a large group of people choose. Like
it's like with Magic and Duel Masters.
Exactly.
Buddy Fight and Vanguard. Yeah, Vanguard was the very intense one, while Buddy Fight was kind of like a child's version.
It was Vanguard. A child's version, because in Buddy Fight, there are cards that restrict to age. For example, Drum Bunker Dragon Father. Its ability was, if your opponent is your son, this card gains 7k power.
What?
Yeah, it's an actual card. I have it. I was just like, this is the best card game ever.
That's strangely specific.
No, what was even funnier is that, their card, Buddy Fight, like you said, is a child's game, because there's one where it's play rock, paper, scissors.
I'm not saying it's a child's game, but it's definitely marketed for the children.
Yeah, and it's very, family friendly.
Yes, there we go.
Father against child. And then there was one that I remember.
Son.
And there was a Legend World card, I forgot, it was Yallarhorn, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but there was a card where it's if you're in elementary school, you not only get this card, but you get this card as well. And I was just like, but I'm in high school at the time. I thought that was hilarious. I really do.
For the sake of ability, say I'm in elementary school.
And then there was the promo cards in Buddy Fight where there's this card and its ability was you have to say a phrase in order to do this ability, but if you didn't say this phrase, then another ability activated. So the ability was you have to say this phrase. I love tacos much. If you do that, you get this ability. But if you refuse to say it, you get another ability. And whenever I play that card, I love tacos much. And then my opponent looks at me and they're just like, "What? Why did you say that?" The ability of Pancho's Taco. Pancho's Taco. No, it was really funny. I was like, "Oh, great." But back on subject.
I'm gonna sue him. Back in high school, we had a comic. My name was Paco, and it was Paco's Tacos.
That's right. Was it Poncho?
Poncho? Like Poncho?
Yeah.
I thought it was Poncho.
It was I can't remember the card's name, so I said Poncho's Taco.
You racist. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying though. A lot of the games, especially for a lot of the cards, especially for Buddy Fight, are very family friendly.
Yeah.
And so that does kind of limit them, because I do know a lot of people who will only play serious games like Magic.
Yeah.
They won't try anything new, and they won't really give anything that has a friendly look. They don't want to play Fortnite because they say it looks too kid friendly, and I'm like, it's a killing game.
Yeah, I was like,
it's about guns. It doesn't matter what the aesthetics is.
Yeah, it's like PUBG, except a much more friendlier atmosphere because of the colors and where the characters are.
Actually, it was James. He said he didn't want to try Fortnite because he'd rather try PUBG. And I'm like, I understand that you have your preferences, but he said something very blatantly illogical.
What?
He said Fortnite would be harder to run than PUBG. And I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, it's the colors, it's this. I'm like, you realize that color has nothing to do with it. It's all the polygons. It's all the shapes.
Yeah.
And Fortnite's shapes are very basic.
Yeah.
While PUBG's are very in depth.
Exactly. I also have a question. What does this have to do with card games?
That's what I'm getting to. Some people just don't like them because of the way they look. So for Buddy Fight, they won't even give it a chance because it looks too friendly.
That's exactly. I remember people were. I can remember because whenever we played Buddy Fight, because we were there when Buddy Fight started, and people had that hesitation. Then people are starting to get into it now
because it is pretty fun. It has very simple mechanics, but the mechanics are very engaging and very fun.
Yeah, it's for Vanguard, it was just intense, like you said. So it got people's attention. Buddy Fight's little charm was the funny abilities because it's family friendly. And then there's Weiss-Schwarz, which I really do like because what they do is they basically ask like, oh, we're going to put Fairy Tail in a card game. Why not here? So the idea of Weiss-Schwarz is having an anime face off against another anime, which is great. Also by the community, it's known as Waifu Wars.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
No, Weiss-Schwarz Waifu Wars. You know why? Because Love Live Idol characters.
Oh god.
And then they recently put Konosuba God's Blessings in this wonderful.
Oh my god, no.
And then like everyone's like Megumin's best girl, which I like Megumin. Oh my gosh, I like Megumin. What's up?
Konosuba, that's is it wrong to pick up chicks in a dungeon, right?
No, that's a different anime. Konosuba is an entirely different anime.
Is that the one? Wait, which one's the one with what's her name? Hestia.
Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Is it wrong? Which one's Konosuba? What's the story behind that? I forgot that.
It was basically
I've seen it.
It's a NEET that dies and gets reincarnated.
Right, yes! Yeah. Oh my god, yes, I love that one. That was so stupid.
Yes! You're gonna leave me hanging, man? Yes! Dude, it's like the best. I wish season 3 win, but I'm pretty sure it's already like need time.
Yeah, for season 3, yes. But anyways,
so
there's also new games like Lightseekers is another very kid-friendly one, but that one has a totally different reason. Yeah. It's supposed to be a new, like not a new version, but like a new style for the games like the Toys to Life series, like Skylanders, Lego Dimensions, and whatnot. But it does it differently. Where Skylanders, you need to buy the toys to play. Where Lego Dimensions, you need those sets in order to play.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. This
app, Lightseekers, is completely free. It's just an RPG. And it's actually made by the people who made Rune Wars. Or not Rune Wars, RuneScape.
Yeah, that's right. You told me.
Run Escape. Yeah.
Run Escape. Game Grumps.
The people who made RuneScape, like a small little team of them, actually worked on this, and it is pretty fun. I played a little bit of it. Yeah. But each of the cards, and I have a few here to show you. The sides. Yeah. That's a one-time use code. And so when you scan it, it gives you a special ability in the game. Dude, not to mention the card itself is also an AR card. So you scan it and it gives you abilities.
Because when I was feeling the card, I was like,
they feel nice, right?
It felt familiar, but I couldn't put my hand on it because
But it's AR, so you just use your camera. You don't actually scan it or anything. Because not to mention they have toys too. But you don't need the toys for the game. The game is completely free to play. You don't need anything. You don't need to buy the cards. You don't need to buy the toys. If you want to get the full experience, yes, buy the stuff, but you don't have to. Especially because the toys are a little more expensive. They are Bluetooth. They vibrate, they light up, and they have catchphrases and whatnot. They are very cool. But, they are big. Yeah. They're huge.
So on to Luck and Logic, one of the card games that Bushiroad made, which makes me really sad because Luck and Logic was new. And I thought it was basically it had the mechanics of Duel Masters, believe it or not, with Weiss-Schwarz. But the thing is that I guess the game mechanics were, a little bit too much for some people, I guess. It wasn't only that, it was also because they already had Weiss-Schwarz, they had Buddy Fight, they had Vanguard. I mean, that's my opinion.
At that point, there was just too many other games that people were like, we'll just stick with the ones we know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why that guy was dissing Bushiroad. He was like, they need to focus on one card game. He was like, if that's the case, then why are you just doing this and also this other card game?
Yeah, it's in that case, stop playing every single card game and just focus on one. Stop playing every single game except for one.
And so I was all about Look and Logic, and then I got really sad. I got really devastated because I watched the anime on YouTube Card Fight Vanguard channel and the Buddy Fight channel that they release. And during the commercial breaks, I saw the Look and Logic sets. I was like, oh, that's great. And I went on the Twitter page, and the last post they said was, because America is not buying our products, we're going to discontinue products in America. And I got so sad because I really love the idea of Luck and Logic.
Now you know the pain of Duel Masters.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's not even the worst part. It stopped and it's still continuing on in Japan, so the sets here are going to get overrun. I'm just and that's what I'm fearing about Dragonborn right now, because I actually talked to the card shop owners, because I'm really good friends with them at MTG at Apex, and I talked to them. I was like, how's Dragonborn? And when they had their tournament for Dragonborn, only 5 people showed up. And they were instantly in the top 8. 5 people.
Oh my god.
8 places. And I talked to Tyler, I was like, what's wrong?
I should have gone.
Like, Tyler really liked it. He's like, Dragonborn's great. And I was like, I do, because...
That's the one you played against, right?
Yeah, I played against... And I also played against you. It was fun playing Dragonborn.
It is fun. I love it.
And then what worries me the most...
like Duelmasters.
Yeah, and what worries me the most is the fact that, like, not that many people are paying enough attention to it, because they're already, like... Because the Dragonborn stuff is very small compared to all the Vanguard selection and buddy fight and stuff like that. And I got really sad. I just hope that Dragonborn keeps going on. But also, what Vanguard does to keep it going is that there's the infamous waifu clan called Bermuda Triangle. And I just...
Have they really gone waifu material for that?
Yeah, because I recently... My friend and I talked about it, because my friend's also like a Bermuda Triangle fan. And thing was...
I wonder why.
Thing was is that every summer they release a Bermuda Triangle set and it has different illustrations. Last summer, if I remember correctly, was wedding dresses. So they reprinted cards with wedding dresses. And this week, no, this summer...
originally pirates.
No, that's Grand Blue.
Is it?
Yeah, Grand Blue's the pirates. And this summer for Bermuda Triangle, the theme is crown.
So they're just wearing crowns?
Yeah, they're wearing like different illustrations, but the illustrations are like really good. Like it's
they're
the
illustrations,
price.
yeah, but nonetheless,
And,
that's pretty stupid if that's your like
but they also released new
driving.
cards. They also released new cards with it, so it's like worth it. And I actually looked into prices for Bermuda Triangle, and I was just like, okay, how much is this? $546. I was like, it was a super parallel, like special edition, like. Unit in a wedding dress, and not even that, there's the white wedding dresses and the black wedding dresses. I was just like, oh,
Jesus.
I just want to play Bermuda Triangle, man.
This is where I kind of agree with Seaweed Head from Gamers, like, just moe everything. It's like, just take it back a step at least.
I agree with, what's his name?
Amano?
Amano, yeah. Domino. Yeah.
Domino.
I agree with Amano. I was like, moe's everything, because I'm like, yeah, I have to agree. I'm sorry, I'm a moe.
No, in that case, I agree with Seaweed Head. It's like, there's a point where moe just becomes too much.
Oh no, I agree with that one.
Like, there's this one app. James wanted me to get into it, and I was like, okay, you know what? I've been hearing a few things about it. I was gonna get into it.
Was it the one where you level up with her and becomes your wife?
No. It's actually like a strategy game, but literally all of the characters were just moe girls. That's it. It was all of them. There were no guys at all.
Oh, well, that was...
And I was like, no, if that's their driving material, no, that means they're not good enough, and they have to like derive on moe to push their product. No, I'm gonna stick with Final Fantasy, Brave Exvius, and Grand Blue Fantasy.
Yeah,
I'll stick with those.
I'm gonna have to like. For me, I'm a moe type of guy. Like, if you put moe, I'm like, oh yeah, but I agree. If you put too much moe, like, to the point where it's like, it's pointless, then I'm just gonna be like, okay, but I'm gonna have to back off a bit.
Yeah.
Because, like, I believe it or not, like, I really do like moe stuff. Don't get me wrong, but if you put, like, over my limit, I'm just like, I'm gonna have to back out.
So that's what I'm afraid of for like Bermuda Triangle. It's like, don't put too much where it becomes the only thing that people play Bermuda Triangle for. Keep it at that so people can actually be interested, because I love pirates, and originally, like, I'm pretty sure it was Bermuda Triangle that had some pirates at least.
No, it was Grand Blue.
It was all Grand Blue?
But also, by the way, don't worry, Bushiroad keeps good tabs, because it's like every summer they release like sets for it, right? Yeah. And so, like, don't worry, it's not like they overly do it, because, like, if you look at the booster sets, like, they release, like, a couple of cards for Bermuda Triangle in every set, while every other clan.
Although, that is what I love about Vanguard in general, just the total different types of cards. Like, you have Nova Grapplers over here, you have the aliens, you have, like, they have, like, subsets, and then they have subsets of the subsets. I know. But, and that is good, but just make sure not to do too much of that.
Oh man.
Like,
I didn't even touch on the new format for Vanguard.
Let's talk about the new format for Yu-Gi-Oh! As we switch over to our next point.
All right, next point.
Old card games, including some that were canceled. So, for example, Duel Masters, Taijudo, Chaotic.
We're just like, stop bringing back pain.
But we'll also talk about ones that are still continuing. For example, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that really it? Yeah, that's it.
I love you're like, there's so many options to choose from this shelf of old card game.
Oh, we're out. Let me just reach into my endless bed. Oh, there's the end. Yeah, so for example, Magic was pretty much technically the first trading card game. It came out back in like the 90s, and it was very revolutionary because before that we had like Uno, and we had a few like poker games and whatnot, but we didn't really have like, we had some card games, like for example, well, not even really card games. They were board games with a bit of card games in them. So for example, there was Hero Quest, which was actually kind of like a D&D thing without the role playing. It was just like go around and accomplish a goal. It was pretty cool, but it did have cards and whatnot. But they weren't really collectible or anything. There was a set and there were some expansions. That was it. But people decided that they wanted a game based on like full card games and whatnot, just based around the cards, and that's where Richard Garfield, he was a creator of Magic. He decided to make the trading card game style because we already had trading cards. Baseball cards, football cards, and he made them stylized. He put the fantasy aspect on Magic, and he'd actually been trying for a long time to make this game.
I imagine so.
And he had a few other projects. The first one was just called Mana, and people really liked it because in Magic you use mana. Yeah. But he then refined it, retuned it, and made Magic. And it became a huge hit. Oh my gosh, did you know that they actually didn't even advertise it because they couldn't keep up with demand? They didn't advertise it so that they could stay pushing it. Oh, dude. That's how big it was when it first came out. It was amazing. Advertising? Yeah. And,
that makes sense though. But like, wow.
They were doing so well selling them. They didn't advertise it because they feared that if they advertised it, they would sell out and they wouldn't be able to reach demand. Amiibos.
Give me that shiny Shulk amiibo, please.
Right. But so after that, they actually the Japanese company Kodo Comics made the Magic the Gathering manga, and they made it with these characters who were playing the card game. Wizards of the Coast said, no, we don't like that. If there's a manga about Magic, we want it to take place in the world of Magic with the creatures and stuff.
That makes so much sense.
That is cool. That would be a cool thing. But Kodo Comics was bent on their characters that they made. So they're like, well, can we just design our own card game real quick? And they're like, yeah, sure. They made Duel Masters. And they changed the characters, storylines and stuff. In fact, the original story of it was Duel Masters Magic the Gathering. And they just dropped the Magic the Gathering part and just made Duel Masters. And the characters stopped playing Magic and they just picked up Duel Master cards. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where Vanguard and Buddy Fight are like Magic and Duel Masters. Duel Masters, all it is a simplified version of Magic. And in fact, it's so simple that other card games steal it all the time.
Yeah, it's...
For example, the one we were talking about, Dragoborn. The creator of that also worked on Kaijudo and Duel Masters, so of course he's going to take a lot of the likenesses of it. He did actually expand upon it and make it a lot better, honestly. I didn't like that one, but I really love Duel Masters. And just like you were saying, Luck and Logic stopped in America, but it's still going in Japan. Guess what? Duel Masters is on season 16 over there.
I now know your pain.
So angry.
I know,
because I try to go to any illegal site I can to stream the to stream the episodes.
You're gonna say
and
this lie?
I cannot find it.
You're going to say this?
I don't care.
Jay Hikari looking up.
I can't.
He's the black market man.
I can only find 1 or 2 episodes of a single season spread out. So I'll find season 3 of Duel Masters Victory V, episode 23, and nothing else. Yeah, I'm like, come on.
In high school, I remember I told you because I managed to find a site. I think it was not Vietnamese, but it was an Asian. It was an Asian website that had all of the Rockman, Star Force, all the Mega Man Star Force subbed in English on an Asian website. I was like, oh, cool, and I can't find it again. I just saw it once. I literally binge watched the entire series and dropped it because that was all they had. And then I just tried to find it, and I remember I told you, I was like, I'm going to try and find it.
I know.
And it was the exact same, I ended up with the exact same results as you. Because I was like, I went on Daily Motion, I was like, that's like 5 minutes, not subbed at all. And it was like some weird question dude. I was like, this is too far along the
weird.
season.
It's so weird. Like, you can't find anything of Duel Masters over here. But there's other card games too. Like, for example, Gaijudo, which is the recreation of Duel Masters.
I like it. But
now, Pokemon is a lot stronger, mainly because it's the Pokemon brand. There's a reason why Pokemon is so popular. I even play the game, even though I don't really like the video games. I still like the card game for some reason. I just like card games in general.
I remember Chris Gavantis tried to teach me Pokemon once.
It's weird, but it is fun.
Yeah, like I don't play Pokemon that much, but I understand what the appeal with it, because it's basically like I don't remember if this, I don't know if they changed the rules or anything, but I remember it's like you have your starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't pull out your starter within like 3 redraws or something like that, you instantly lose. And I was just correct me, because I don't play Pokemon.
Now you actually start with your starter out.
Yeah, because I remember previously.
Like, if you don't have any in your bench and your starter gets knocked out, if you have nothing in your bench to replace it, you lose.
Yeah.
That's where, like, you have to have a lot of, like, first gen, not first gen, but like first evolutions.
Yeah, first evolutions and then second evolutions.
Yeah, you have to have like your first evolutions to actually put in your starters, and then you can evolve them from there. And so it is pretty cool. And if you have your starter, you can evolve them from there. But it is pretty fun. I like it. But I still am a Digimon fan. I will always be a Digimon fan.
I remember. I played Digimon with you. That was
Digimon.
Isn't that a new card game?
There is a new card game.
Oh, there's an old one. There's an old one. That's right.
There's an old one, and I love the old one. There's a Japanese the original Japanese Digimon game.
Yeah,
I freaking love it.
You have it?
I have some cards. I don't remember where they are. I think they're in my box over there, but like I just don't like. I don't have enough cards to make a deck, and I can't read the instructions in Japanese. But
there's 3 types of writing systems.
Yes, katakana, hiragana, yeah, whatever. But there's also Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the bigger ones, right behind Magic.
Yeah,
and it's changed a lot.
Yes, it has changed a lot.
You know more about the new cycle, so you go ahead with this one.
So, I've been a Yu-Gi-Oh fan since I was a little kid. I still remember when I first got into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I only started in ninth grade.
I was in Cho-Saigon, and there was this kid with the fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or the kid Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was like, "Can I have some?" He's like, "Sure," and he gave me half of his deck.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a blur, because now I have it, and then I got into Magic, because when I did Taekwondo, we would get points after every class about how well we did. You could spend those points for stuff, and guess what was there? Yu-Gi-Oh cards! So I remember I got Destiny Hero Doomlord before the Destiny Heroes were even aired on GX. I was like, oh, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I remember. And so, Yu-Gi-Oh has changed a lot.
I don't think they'd be able to correct you, because that's a memory. Yeah. But if you're saying that it came out before GX, they'd be able to correct you on that, because you're stupid.
Yeah.
Continue.
Funny! Anyway, yeah, you can correct me if you can. But, so Yu-Gi-Oh! It's changed over time, because what they do is, originally, there was summoning sickness. I remember. There was summoning sickness, and you could summon monsters without having to tribute summon. And then as they went on, they had to tribute summon. And I remember, I was at TCC, and, Tarrant County College, if you're wondering. And I saw this guy who had the original Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Not the Yu-Gi-Oh cards of today, but the original 1999 cards. You know,
91.
Those.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, I was like, whoa, because it had, like...
Where they say magic instead of spell?
Yeah, I was like... And I still have some magic cards. Not spell cards.
I did have one or two in my deck.
And so, originally, it was like... you got your field zone, you have your fusion deck, you have your graveyard, and then it went on to become... The fusion deck became extra deck, and then it just changed from there, and then they added 2 zones called the pendulum zones, and then people are like, yeah, I hate it. And so they changed the pendulum zones into extra monster zones to counter the freaking meta that appeared because of pendulum. Because, like, apparently, not because of Pendulum, but apparently there was a tier 0 deck where you could summon 3 shooting Quasars at once. And I was sitting there and I was just like, I faced one of those before. I don't want to face all 3 of them in one turn, mind you. And so they had to do the extra monster zone because so basically, it was also shown in...
Who was Chris playing against when they took out his strongest monster and he was just like... He was going like that and he broke the chair. Was that you?
That was me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because like by the way, if you don't know, in high school we had this dueling group, and I remember I was that guy that would bring a test deck every day to lunch. Because like I
always had my elemental heroes.
Yeah. I never used my main deck because I just wanted to I like deck building. So I just deck building. And then when I finally busted out my actual deck, I ended up destroying Shooting Quasar. And what was also funny is the fact that there was a misplay on my part, because even if I attacked and I used Honest Effect, where it's like, it gains attack of the opposing monster, and Chris negated it, therefore my Master Hyperion should have been destroyed, but we didn't realize that at the time.
Okay.
So I'm still considering it as a win. It was just, we both did.
You both messed up.
Yeah. But either way...
fine.
It
happens every now and then.
Originally...
People take it too seriously sometimes.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's true.
Just to have fun with it. That's the main point of it.
So, originally, you could summon extra deck monsters, like, as much as you wanted the main monster zone, but with the new format, there's an extra monster zone, my bad. Basically, if you special summon a monster from your extra deck, like a Synchro, Fusion, Xyz, Link monster, it goes to that extra monster zone. And if you have a monster in your extra monster zone, you can't special any other monster from your extra deck into anywhere because you already extra monster zone. That is
your extra monster zone.
Also, it was I understand why Yu-Gi-Oh! Did that because of the anime that aired before V-Reigns, which was Arc 5. Arc 5, which I really do like how they implemented it, was actual real-life meta, which is summoning all these awesome monsters at once. Like, in one turn, they would special summon 12 times. Which is literally the meta. It is the meta. Like, I've seen meta decks.
But yeah.
I've seen meta decks, and Arc 5 actually represented it really well. And so, alright, because Arc 5 showed what you could do, and then they released, like, the first card that was 4 types. Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Pendulum, I think. I don't remember.
What the crap is that?
Yeah, I was like, it was Zerg. But anyway, not Zerg, it was Zard or something.
Emperor Zerg!
Yeah! So, like, they changed the format so that way it would dumb it down and stop, like, freaking tier 0 decks from, like, hitting it. But that's from what I've seen, and I heard rumors about it. So, yeah, the extra monster zone does that. So, basically, they introduced Link monsters because of it, and they had to reprint cards because of Link monsters. And because of the new format, it's all about placement of your monsters, because you can't just place them willy-nilly now.
Now, what would you say about the popularity of... Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Magic and Pokemon versus the new card games that are coming out, like Light Seekers, Bushiroad's card games, and whatnot.
So for Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd say that compared... Okay, I need to speak properly. So, compared to Magic to the new card games, I'd say that Magic is more popular.
I mean, obviously Magic's popular.
Yeah.
It's the oldest card game.
And
or also, the oldest trading card game.
Also, what they do is every year or so, they introduce new types of cards. That doesn't affect the main gameplay too much.
Yeah.
Because you get the dual cards, and then you get your Planeswalkers, and then you have...
I think Planeswalkers is really the newest style that has been introduced. It changes the game, I'm saying. It changes the way the game kind of plays, but not too much.
Yeah, because...
Then there's smaller expansions and whatnot.
Yeah, and then there's the new cards where it's it's an impact card from Buddy Fight, but it has 2 cards on there, and you can pay for one or the other, and it's considered one card. Huh. There's different abilities.
I didn't know about that one.
There was flashbacks. There was scry. There are new ones. Landfall. Landfall is not new. It's just they have new cards, and also they are so famous because there is one card that every Magic player wants. Apparently, it's called Black Lotus. You know how much that is on the market right now?
Huh? How much?
$3,000. No, I'm not lying. Black Lotus, that Magic card alone is $15,000 to $3,000.
Oh, that's so horrible.
You know why? Because there's been so many cards released by Magic, right? Uh-huh. To the point where old Magic cards are back there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they reprint them, but sometimes there are the very select few that you don't. I remember I was at the card shop, right? Just hanging out, and my friend was like, we don't have enough cash in the jar. I was like, why? This guy gave us a rare, a super rare old card. And I was like, wouldn't it just be 500, 300? He's like, no, it shot up in price. I'm like, why? Because the creator signed it.
Oh!
Because if the creator signs a card,
Yeah!
it instantly becomes super rare and
Oh
it
my
costs
God.
more money. So that's why Black Lotus becomes $3,000 instead of $1,500.
Oh my
Just
God.
a single copy. And it's not only, like, it surprises me. I was just like, wow. Like, just think. Like, my friend, like, Tyler, one of the workers, Tyler also told me, he's like, you know how old I am, how I realize how old I am? I'm like, why? Because I have Magic cards from the original sets.
Oh my gosh.
I looked, and it was a mixture of modern Magic with old Magic.
That's awesome.
I was like, and like, there's also the signed cards as well.
Yeah.
And so,
Like, you know, for Pokemon, do you think it's just like the name that keeps it around? Or do you think, like,
it's
they're
not
actually adding cards that are...
They are actually adding cards.
They're adding cards for, like, the new games and whatnot, Pokemon Sun, Pokemon Moon, and stuff like that.
They've actually been adding new cards as well, because I remember I overheard some people at the card shop talking about first gen, it only had sleep status, that was it.
Huh.
And then over time they added poison and all other stuff that scared me. It was it's a coaster. that scared me. But yeah, and then they also added break, which was like impact for Buddy Fight. I mean that's the best way I could
for Pokemon, you know, it is based on a video game, so in the game they have all the statuses and whatnot.
Yeah.
That definitely allows a lot of freedom in the card game, especially because there's like so many different types of each, like different copies of Pokemon. Like there's some that are like Pikachu, but they're water. I've seen those.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
it adds a totally different effect compared to like saying, you know, where Yu-Gi-Oh has like knights and dragons and you know, beasts.
Yeah, like
and war beasts and stuff like that.
Because like apparently one of my friends, the president of Japanese Culture Society at UT Arlington, also one of my friends, I call him Kaicho. His name is Chris. And I was talking to him about cards and how it's like old cards are so much. And he was like, I forgot what Pokemon, it was like the Dragon Knight card. If it's the original, or it was either the Dragon Knight or Pikachu. I can't remember. Dang. And it's the one that the illustration that's like limited edition. And I don't remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is sold for $8,000.
Huh.
And my friend, I was like, dude, you can sell. I was like, I ain't selling it.
Yeah, it's like, some people are just
mine.
Okay, so the reason you sell it is so that it can find the collectors who want it. Sometimes the collectors already have it.
Yeah, so, and then that's not only that. There was also another scene in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where there was an Xyz Lightsworn, and I'm a Lightsworn player. I like Lightsworns. And they had an Xyz monster, and there was only one Xyz for Lightsworns. And I remember it was only for people who attended the championship of a specific year. So it was a limited edition. I remember, and me and my friend, when I was still at TCC, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With them. And I was like, I wonder how much this Lightsworn deck, because I was trying to upgrade it. They're like, and my friend looked at his phone, dropped it, and started laughing. I was like, what's so funny? He's like, check it out. I was like, what? $1,500 for a regular copy. And SP, like a very rare one's $3,000. Thank goodness they actually released that card in a set, so the price died.
Okay,
it
good.
skyrocketed downward. I was like, that's good. I can actually get an Xyz Lightsworn.
It went faster than Kirby's down being smashed.
That was pretty
So
much
many
it.
times I've done that over the edge.
I remember.
You remember. But what's it called? So for card games that are like older, for example, like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, the ones that are actually still around, what do you think keeps them around compared to like Duel Masters, which died out because of... My reason is because of the show, the parody dub for Duel Masters. That's why that died. For Kaijudo, because the show had nothing to do with card games and people weren't really that interested. They did a bad job at publicity. And for Chaotic, that was actually legal trouble. Did you know that?
I did not know about that.
Because, what's it called? For Chaotic, it started off as this small little kind of tabs game.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, there were little fat monsters and like actual little plastic things that we'd slam down and stuff like that. That was that kind of game. But what's it called? They decided to actually make it into a card game based off of those creatures, and they made Chaotic the card game. And they wanted it to do something totally different, which was kind of like the first ever, I don't want to say AR game, but like, you know, multi-platform where you can play on the on the tables with your regular cards, but also scan them in and have the exact same cards. Especially because on Chaotic, the different attributes would change with numbers. You could tell because the printing would be different.
That's cool.
And when they made the show, which came out at the exact same time that the card game came out, they licensed it with 4Kids, owned by Warner Brothers at the time.
Yeah.
However, when 4Kids went under, they put up a legal fight to try and get the Chaotic name. And the owners, like the actual owners of Chaotic, got the rights. However, not all of them.
Oh,
4Kids, which is now under some totally different name, actually owns the legal rights to the show. And therefore, they cannot legally produce any more cards.
Oh, no.
So right now they're in like this gray zone. The people are still fighting for the actual rights to make the show themselves.
I'm pretty
continue it and do that and make the card game again, which multiple people would want. Like everyone I've met who played Chaotic want it back. But the thing about it is that it's still in legal limbo and it may never come back. That's the bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
So compared to those reasons, legal reasons, bad publicity, and just horrible writing, why do you think Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon actually lasted for so long? And what can these new games learn from them?
Oh, well, so for Magic, like you said, like they didn't advertise because they were already doing well as well. To begin with. So the thing with Magic,
the first ever trading card game.
Exactly. There's Nintendo. They had originally. Anyway, that's besides.
That's
the
not
point.
trading card games. Those are like just card games.
Yeah.
You have one set for both players.
Yeah.
Or multiple people. While this one, you'd literally make your own deck.
Yeah.
And you'd play against each other.
Still a card game.
Well, this is a trading card game and a collectible card game. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. So for Magic, what I thought was pretty cool was that they would release new stuff every so often. Like they would release cards, but not too much to change the game. It's gradual, because it got to the point where we now have new abilities, we have new card types, we have cards that you have to put in card sleeves because when you awaken them, you flip their cards.
I had a few of those in my green deck.
Yeah, exactly. They've lasted so long because they keep it fresh. That's the word I'm trying to think of. They keep it fresh.
With that said, do you think Magic can survive for the next 10 years?
By what I've seen, I'm getting really worried. I'm actually genuinely worried, but honestly, it's Magic, and I shouldn't be too worried because there's different formats.
Yeah.
There's Commander, there's Standard, and then there's the 4 other formats that I was told about. So it's Magic. The thing is, I can tell why it's number one because there's not one way to play it, and it's super open. There isn't 5 main monster zones. There's just the battlefield.
Those 4 play styles can also be a downfall because me and my friend, we were going to play and he asked me what kind of deck I have. I only have one Magic deck. I have the white one that Trevor gave me. And it's technically considered the old standard.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to play against it. He says he doesn't want to play it. And I'm like, that's the only deck I have. It's either play that or we don't play.
Exactly.
And recently I just bought a new red one. But I don't know how to play it, and I played against my white, and it sucked. It was horrible, but...
Yeah, it's honestly, I can see it still surviving for a long time yet, because
it'll be shaky, but it'll survive.
It'll be shaky, because then you have the competitive players, like you said, that are I don't... Because, I have friends that are super cool. I used my standard deck, which I didn't know was standard at the time, against my friend's commander deck, and we're just having fun. That's the point. And then you have the super competitive people, and then it just starts to, kill it. Because, in general, card games are supposed to be fun, but then you meet those people...
every game is for.
Yeah, and then you just meet those people that take it to the extreme.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. And then it just discourages people from playing the card game. But with Magic, there's different formats, and the competitive people are in a specific format. I don't know anyone that is super competitive about Commander. There may be some out there, but so far I haven't seen it.
Yeah, not in our area, at least.
And for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
For Yu-Gi-Oh! It survived so long because, like Magic did, they introduced Fusion to Synchro to Xyz to pendulums, to Link monsters, and then they recently released Link spells. They're adding new stuff, but the thing that made it shaky is that they had to change their format.
Yeah.
They had to add stuff to it.
They had to totally change their format. For a while, didn't they actually do like where you could only play these cards with like a single like thing at the bottom, like their little code?
No, that wasn't the thing. Where did you hear that from?
No, I remember people were talking about it because like they said pretty much they were restarting Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like you could only enter tournaments with cards that had like in their little like their
what? Their barcodes?
Not their barcodes, but like how they sometimes have like codes for the sets they have.
Yeah.
They can only play them with that set number. But then they got rid of that, right?
I'm pretty sure because like if you can still play the new format with the old cards. I don't know about it. You can correct us in the comments below. But like they've changed it to where the format was changed. But what I've been also told, because like Xyz was the iffy point for a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, from what I've heard.
Whenever it first came out,
and then we had Pendulum, and then people left because like, oh no, Pendulum starts. By the way, I just like to point out that Pendulum. Sorry if I spike it. Pendulum is not that hard. It's in my opinion, but it depends on people.
The thing is, like for me, I started when XZs started, and I was done after like 3 years, 4 years, just because like it felt too different after a while. There were some cards, some XZ's cards, where once it got rid of its XZ's material, you win. Yeah. That's not fun to play against.
Exactly.
With
they already
all
had win conditions beforehand.
Now, we had Exodia and whatnot, but, Exodia is still harder to do than get rid of 3 XZ's material. That's very easy.
Believe it or not, it's actually pretty hard. Anyway, yeah.
So, with that said, do you think Yu-Gi-Oh! Can survive with this new competition and new competition from games for the next 10 years?
I think so. I honestly do think so because, like I was saying, people are leaving because of Pendulum, which in my opinion, once I figured out the mechanics of Pendulum, it's good. And I also understand why people, stopped, because Pendulum was really actually pretty complicated, especially for new players. And then Link Monsters came in and they killed, they died down, the meta. Because like I said before, 3 shooting Quasars on the field in 1 turn is not fun to deal with.
Yeah.
And because of the extra Monster Zone restraint, you could only do, at the most, 1 Synchro Summon.
Hey.
Which, it hit them because, Synchros was still at the top of their game, even with Pendulums and XZs.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it kills it, but Link Monsters gives more opportunities to change up the game, making it fair for old cards to join. In fact, they made Link Monsters 4 Lightsworns. They're making Link Monster. They did reboots of Miles Radiant into Mrs. Radiant into a Link Monster for other cards. So they're adding their new playstyle is mainly on positioning their cards, and it's giving chance for older cards to get back in competition. So yes.
Now,
and,
I agreed with you with Magic, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is slowly dying. Whether they'll actually last for the next 10 years, I'm going to have to go a little more on the no side.
Yeah,
but they can still surprise me.
Yeah, honestly.
They've done it before. They almost died multiple times and came back. But I feel like this time they're starting to kick the grave a bit.
I honestly have to... I understand what you're saying that, and I honestly see it because of the way they changed their format. But honestly,
when you have to change your game's format completely in order to make game-breaking, combos like null and void, that's when you might start to have a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Putting all your effort into one card game might not always be the best because sometimes you're focusing too much on it. It does mean that you're focusing on fixing the problems, but that also means you're putting in a lot and it's your only thing to hold on to. If it starts to go wrong, you're going to want to fix it by adding more stuff, and that's not always good.
Yeah.
That's like saying, DLC is necessary because, adding more stuff is always fun. It's like, no, sometimes it just makes it annoying and breaks the game.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it's all actually awesome. But with that said, let's go on to Pokemon. Do you think how do you think Pokemon has lasted this long?
Honestly, I would say that Pokemon has lasted because of its brand name, and on top of that, they also did what Magic did, and they,
added new cards, styles,
There's
and whatnot.
Break. There's also EX cards.
But all of that was introduced in the video game, pretty much, right?
EX, no.
Well, I mean, like, it's based off of stuff that was in the video game.
Yeah, it's
so,
based
for
off of
example,
stuff.
like, EX was, like, kind of like the next evolution for Pokemon, right? In the game. Like, there was a... What was it?
Mega Evolution?
Mega Evolution.
But no, EX was different. EX, then there's Mega Evolution after that, if I remember correctly, because the card game mechanics and the video game mechanics are different. Like, the video game, and also I have to say the TV show is also one of them, because they do it really well.
Yeah, true.
And, so honestly, the TV show's helping with it, and also the Pokemon games, and then the Pokemon card games is there as well, so you can actually play it. So basically, it's like two different ways to play Pokemon.
I guess the whole point for Pokemon is that it really has something for everyone. If you like the TV show, you can watch the TV show. If you like the video games, you can play the video games. If you like the card games, you can play the card games. Exactly. So in other words, you know...
Unlike certain kaiju. Sorry, that came out.
But for like Yu-Gi-Oh, pretty much, you know, they play the card game in the show. The video games are just the card games, and then the card game is the card game. So pretty much, it's all just based around the card game. While Magic does actually have comics now, and it does, as they originally intended, to take place in the world. Honestly,
I would have to disagree with that one point, because Pokemon is not based off of the card game.
No, I'm saying, like, Pokemon... Its show is based off of itself. The video game is based off of itself. The card game is based off of itself.
Yeah, okay.
They're all separated.
All right.
While Yu-Gi-Oh, everything's reliant on the card game. Magic, it's just the world. That's what they're focused on.
Also, Yu-Gi-Oh has a pretty good anime series. U5Ds is the best. Oh, Yusei is great. God. Anyway.
GX all the way.
But anyway, yep.
With that, do you think Pokemon's gonna last for the next 10 years?
Yeah. They came out with Z-Power, Z-Crystal, so I assume it's gonna last, because freaking Pikachu.
Honestly, I feel like Pokemon has the best chance out of those three. Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like Pokemon's brand name is just too strong to fail now.
I mean, like, they did Pokken Tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they did Detective Pikachu, which I really want to get, like, Detective Pikachu looks so freaking funny.
At this point, it's just branching off and becoming a new world of, like, stuff. Like, a fighting game for Pokemon. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was actually happy. Instead of turn-based combat, they did that.
Not to mention they have Mystery Dungeon for so long, too, which was an RPG stylish.
Yeah, Pokemon Ranger. They had Ranger.
I did like Ranger.
Yeah.
So what can these new games learn from this? So what can Vanguard, Lightseekers, and especially like one of the ones we really like, Dragoborn, what can it learn from its spiritual predecessor, Duel Masters, to keep it alive?
Oh, what they could learn is to stay true to their format and not change it. Like,
but isn't Vanguard doing that?
Freak! Dang, you got me there! I'll have to give you that one. Vanguard did it, and I know why they did it. Because in Vanguard, they did Mega Blast into Limit Break into Legion or Legion.
Legion. Say Legion.
And then they hit Stride Generation, and they added Generation Guardians. And I looked at the card game itself, and the format was there, but it got to the point where it was too reliant on generation. Because in the anime, if you look closely, there was only one time when someone used Limit Break and Legion. I mean, you could use it. There are some Limit Break decks and Legion decks that can still stand up to a generation deck, like my Angel Feather deck. But they had to change their format because I'm pretty sure they couldn't... It looked like they were running out of ideas to include Generation Zone. So that's why for the new format, which... Oh well, they're taking out Generation Zone completely and they're restarting it back to a certain set. So it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Except cards from a certain set up to Generation are unusable.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So the ones I have.
So basically any cards that has Generation Break, they're useless now.
I don't know if any of the ones I have are
if
Generation
they
Break.
have a red symbol that has GB, that's Generation Break.
I'm going to have to look at mine because I'm pretty sure mine has Generation Break. And in that case, I'm just going to switch to a grade 2 deck. That's going to screw a lot of people over.
If you want, just stick with Ultimate Razor because that's fine.
Ultimate, yeah, just Legion Razors because that's my babies, my Razors, Gundam for life.
And so oh my gosh. So yeah, what
can Buddy Fight learn?
Buddy Fight learn?
I feel like Buddy Fight's doing pretty alright though.
Buddy Fight is
they haven't
doing
really changed anything.
No, they haven't. Like the only thing they changed was Impact Monsters. Honestly, with Buddy Fight, they're doing all right with.
So I feel like all the kid-friendlier games are doing all right. Pokemon is doing all right. Yu-Gi-Oh is starting to go a little more serious, so they're starting to fall. Vanguard has always been a little more serious, so they're starting to like inch down.
Yeah,
and Magic's definitely starting to inch down too. But Pokemon and Buddy Fight, like they're simple mechanics. They don't change a lot. So I feel like if you just go simple, you're safe.
Yeah, pretty much, because we prefer, as humans, we prefer
simplicity. I mean, sometimes I do feel like a good like strategic game, but in that case, I'll actually play I'll play a full board game in that case.
Yeah,
I have multiple, as you can see in my bookshelf, and more to hopefully get.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, Buddy Fight is staying true to its name. I think it's doing well. I mean, it's adding new mechanics like dual cards and stuff like that. They added impact monsters, but they switched back from impact monsters for the latest. So they're going back to impacts, back to their roots. They're adding new flags, but other than that, it really doesn't really change the mechanic. They bring out some broke cards, which could be their downfall, which is like, don't make overly broke cards. For example, there is a card that came out for Magic World that allows you to lock your opponent's flag.
What?
Yes. Okay, here's why. Okay, in Buddy Fight, the flag basically tells you what cards you can play.
Yeah.
If your flag is locked, cards pertaining to that flag become unplayable and they are removed from your field. So
that's broken.
Yeah, it's broken. Like, it's super easy to play too. Because actually, I take that back. I haven't seen the actual conditions, but it's super broke. And then the recent newest monster for the Chaos, the flag. My friends, it's a meme. Size is a joke now. There is a flag that lets you call sizes up to infinity, and there is a monster that whose size is 10K, and it's freaking broke. And then the flag that allows you to call that card is basically an item. And the thing is that like, it's cool. I'm like, oh man, that's super powerful and stuff like that. But the thing is, don't make it overly broke, because then you're going to lose people.
Exactly, because then it's just not fun. Because there's only one way to combat that.
Yeah, there was only one way.
That becomes the new meta, just building against that or building it yourself.
Yeah, it's like,
that's not fun.
But the thing is that like, I guess as a trade-off, it takes a while to set it up, honestly.
Okay.
It takes a lot to set it up, but once you get it out there, like, I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to probably figure out how to bring it out first.
So it's kind of like Exodia, where it takes a while to build up, but you have to work at it, and you can easily die before that.
You could easily die before
that. But once you get it, you win.
Yeah, once you get it, like, it's almost impossible for you to lose. Almost. So
what about Dragoborn?
Just don't pull a duel masters. Don't pull a duel. It's great as is. Just don't pull a duel masters.
It is really good. I feel like their publicity needs to be a lot better, though. They're not doing a good job publicizing it. Like, getting their name out. Also, I don't really like that. Like, the animation's alright, but it's only 2 minutes, and some of it's drawn, some of it's CGI, some of it's, like, painted. It doesn't mix well.
Yeah, because it's 3 different art styles, and usually
I do not like that.
Continuity is a big thing.
Very big, because when you have a 3D character model slapping a hand-painted, like, character, it doesn't look good.
I haven't seen the animations yet. I need to see the animations.
They're weird. They're only 2 minutes, which is another reason why I don't like it. It's like, I wanted a full animation.
That's what I was thinking of.
Full story. But if you're doing 3 different animation styles, mixing them takes a long time. Just focus on one art style for the show. We don't care.
Yeah.
Look at, Duel Masters and Yu-Gi-Oh! All of them look the same, but they have different, illustrations.
Yeah, it doesn't differ widely from its original concept.
And then Pokemon. All of the Pokemon look the same in the video game, in the anime.
So, I mean, like, they already have it to begin with.
And then, for the card game, they do different animations. Like, some of them are 3D, CGI characters, like, just pictures. Some of them are hand-painted drawings. Some of them are just regular illustrations.
Yeah.
And that's a card game. That's fine. But, in an animation, just keep it the same style.
Also, like, I'd like to talk a bit about Weiss Schwarz as well.
Yeah,
honestly, Weiss Schwarz, it's doing great. Like, what? It's like
that
really
good. That one has fan service though, not in the bad way where it's like cleavage and whatnot. It's showing animes, and of course you're gonna want to support your anime.
Yeah, it's also because like Star Wars is going to Weiss Schwarz. One of these things is not like the other, because like
SAO, fairy tale.
Konosuba.
Konosuba and Star Wars.
No, it's like because like I really do like the idea of Y-Sports. It's bringing like the anime community together because they just take anime, they get the rights, I'm pretty sure, and they just put it into card games, and like it's just the same concept but with different anime characters, and each anime has their own playstyle. Some of it's similar to other anime archetypes. And honestly, like, if Y-Sports keeps doing this, I'm pretty sure they'll be there forever, because, like, if you look at the sheer amount of animes and all the movies out there, the possibilities are completely endless.
Gundam for Y-Sports?
Unless Gundam already has a card game, then
they do, but in Japan, not in America.
Like,
which makes me sad.
Like, people wanted like Dragon Ball, like
Dragon Ball already has its own card game.
Yeah, they wanted Y-Sports, but they're like, it already has a card game. And I'm pretty sure One Piece isn't going to be there, which makes me super sad, because they already have a card game. But yeah, honestly, Y-Sports could do that. Oh, and back to Vanguard real quick. What they could do is, when they go back to that new format, they should probably try and not change it. But the thing with them is that the format they have is really restricting in general.
Yeah.
So
they had a really, really great starting
They had
format.
great start,
It was amazing. It was fun. Every single card was its own unit compared to Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, and Pokemon, where all the cards were different types. And if you didn't have mana cards in your deck, you were screwed in Magic. If you didn't have spells or traps, you're kind of left open in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you didn't have, energy cards in Pokemon,
you're screwed.
You're so screwed. But in Vanguard, every card you can use for the most part, as long as you have a grade 1 or a grade 2 or a grade 3.
It's like by itself it was restricting in general, so the rules didn't have to be as strict.
Yeah.
And
but with this new format, it's getting a lot more stricter.
Oh, because it's cutting off sets. But the thing is, get this. There's 3 formats for Vanguard now.
Oh gosh.
It's the original, then there's the new format, then there's the combined format, from what I remember. And I'm not even done there. I like watching the Vanguard anime, and they're doing the new Vanguard anime, which is basically a reboot, but with the new format. And I was sitting there,
back to original Aichi?
Back to Aichi before he met Kai.
Oh, yes, I love that one. That was my favorite season. Season 1.
And it's going to be with the reboot with the new format, which includes blessings, and there's 3 types of blessings. And the thing is because of the new format, Vanguard decided to have a transition period to allow new players to get into the new format, as well as old players. And I was just like,
I don't like that.
Because, I was sitting there, I was like, oh boy. And because in general, it's unavoidable. Their format was strict to begin with. You can't play spells or traps, and if anything, all you had was skills from your units. So, honestly, I can honestly see that if this format doesn't work well, they're going to probably do another format. But the thing is that, people from the Vanguard community, when they heard about that, some of them left. And hopefully, because I can see a trend
Because
now.
at that point, it starts to go like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not as bad as Vanguard, because at least Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't change the format in, 7 years.
Yeah. But then again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had really not a lot of competition. It was only Magic and Pokemon at the time.
Yeah.
While Vanguard is trying to, stay alive with not only its sibling card games, but with juggernauts like Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, exactly. With Vanguard, it's going to add a whole new mechanic with the new format. And hopefully, if they do a new format, if they manage to do, a weird cycle of new format, and it actually works, well, more power to them. Because in general, it's really basic, so a lot of people can get into it. In fact, even newbies can beat elites. Because I remember I was facing this one guy who was super good at Vanguard, and then I beat him. And he was just like, what? When did you start playing? I was like, a month?
That is one thing I like about Vanguard.
It's super simplistic to the point where the format could barely hurts it.
Yeah.
So,
it's just a simple mechanic, so anyone can really pick up a deck and play.
So, even if they do new formats, as long as they stick to the base, where, then they'll be fine. Because that's the main thing about card games, is sticking with the base.
Sticking with it, trying not to change too much. If you change too much too fast, it becomes a new game. And at that point, you might as well just make a new game.
It's basically a comparison to how Nintendo do their consoles, where it's where they did GameCube and you could play Game Boy games on it. When they did Wii, you could play GameCube games on it. Wii U, play Wii games on it. And now they did a really bold move with the Switch, though. But, I mean, but to make up for that, on eShop, they put arcade games like Metal Slug, and they also ported Bayonetta into the Switch.
I mean, they still need the Virtual Console, though. As soon as the Virtual Console comes up, they're gonna skyrocket because they're gonna put like all their classics, and that's what people are waiting for.
And also, they're actually they're learning from their mistakes as well because of the eShop incident.
Now, what about Lightseekers? It's one of the newer ones, along with Dragonborn, that came out in the past year.
Oh, that's right.
You only started playing this recently, so I'll
right before the podcast.
Yes. So, what do you think? Do you think this card game, which is mainly just Toys to Life series card game, after playing it 2 times, do you think it can last?
It can last, but they might have to change a little bit. Especially with the card that says, you must discard a combo card. When you only have 5 in your deck to begin with. They might have to change that a bit, but other than that, it looks like it's going to last a very long time.
Going back to what I said earlier about Pokemon and Buddy Fight being very simplistic and kind of kid-friendly, this one looks kind of kid-friendly. Do you think that's going to actually work in its favor?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's because every small detail, no matter how small, counts for it.
I mean, look at that back, gloss.
Oh, gee. I know, right? I saw that. I was like, these cards feel nice.
They're nicely made.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, they are a little more pricey, though, where, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has, $12 starter packs?
They're $12.
Starter decks?
Yeah, $12 starter decks, which is a decent price.
And Magic has, 14, right?
$20
starter decks?
Yes. Believe it or not. Especially Vanguard.
Yeah, 19.
Vanguard and Buddy Fight have $20, which is why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting a bit of a profit because they're selling it with $10 less.
But then again, you gotta think, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's only a 40 card pack, right? For a starter deck?
Yeah, some starter decks, yeah.
And then Magic, it's mainly 50 or 60 sometimes. This one is only 36 really with the hero card, but and it's $18.
It cuts down production costs while it's going to be a big profit. If they can get their name out, gosh dang, then Magic's even the top runners are going to have a run for their money because there's items, and we haven't even used items because they don't have items.
Not to mention, it is a tie-in with the app and with the way we were talking about Hearthstone and Eternal and card games that are on the computer, they're getting a huge popularity boost as of recently. So with something that has a little bit of both, that might actually work in its favor a bit.
And also another thing for the new card games to do to stay up to date is also change with the times.
Yes.
Because if you stick with traditional, sometimes it ain't working out. You should you need to have traditional, stick true to your beliefs, but also change with the times. Yeah. Adapt to the times, what Lightseekers is doing, the app. You don't see many card games here's an app. Well, I mean, other than Yu-Gi-Oh, but Yu-Gi-Oh started doing it recently.
Yeah, but then again, it's just the card game itself on the app.
Yes,
and where this one is an RPG. It has nothing to do with the card game. In fact, when you scan the cards, it just gives you bonuses for your character in the RPG.
Yeah, it's just make sure to keep up with Twitter and Facebook and all the social
Not to mention, Chaotic did it best with online card games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was great.
I didn't.
It was amazing.
I didn't get into
I loved
Chaotix.
playing that, and Duel Masters is my favorite card game, but Chaotic was my favorite to play online.
I think my favorite card game right now is Buddy Fight, because I just love the idea of fighting alongside your monsters.
And toilets.
Yeah, Hanako in the toilet, WC! I love that.
With that, that'll probably wrap up our first SP Advanced podcast.
It's already over? Oh no! Will we have another one, Jay?
Maybe. Put in the comments below what you think our next topic should be.
Spam, smack that like button.
Smack that like
button. Hit
button.
that subscribe.
Hit that person next to you.
No, please, no. I'm fine.
Get the sword.
Oh, jeez.
The frying pans.
But I have the sword
right now. The frying pan swords.
I have the sword right next to me.
Please don't. This was not well thought out.
Yeah, you said I was like, I have a sword right next to me, good sir.
But that's to strike down evil. I'm not evil. Or am I?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, I'm Jay Hikari.
I'm GVP.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.